Imagine stepping into a bustling office on a Monday morning, the aroma of stale coffee and ambition hanging in the air. You've just finished a crucial presentation, feeling composed, effective. Colleagues nod, some smile briefly. Everything seems fine. But then, as you turn to leave, you catch a fleeting glance. A supervisor's eyes flicking from your face to the presentation screen, then quickly away, a micro-expression of something unreadable, almost a challenge, before they engage in an overly enthusiastic conversation with someone else. Have you ever been in that room? That moment when you're not seeking attention yet you feel every single eye on you, dissecting you, judging you? It's profoundly unsettling, isn't it? For decades, psychology has explored the dynamics of social interaction, but what happens when your mere presence, your quiet confidence, your very existence becomes a gravitational force that pulls in everyone's attention, often with startlingly negative consequences? This isn't about being famous or overtly charismatic. This is about the subtle, almost invisible psychological target that forms on your back when you become the person everyone watches, the individual whose unbothered posture, whose self-sufficiency accidentally exposes the deepest insecurities of those around you. Today, we're peeling back the layers of this strange phenomenon, dissecting the 8 distinct ways people react when you become the undeniable benchmark in any room and what that means for your inner world. The first profound shift you'll notice when you become the focal point is the sudden surge of whispers and fabricated narratives. Because you choose to operate with a degree of quiet confidence, refusing to overshare every detail of your life for cheap validation, your inner world remains a complete black box to most. And here's the twist. Human beings suffer from intense psychological discomfort when they encounter someone they cannot easily read. Their brains, eager to resolve this tension, automatically construct entirely fictional narratives about you. The insecure person, grappling with their own self-doubt, will look at your silence and tell others that you are arrogant, perhaps even standoffish. The colleague who thrives on office drama, hungry for a scandal, will decide you are hiding some dark, intriguing secret. None of these stories have a single shred of truth to do with your actual character. You are simply a blank mirror, reflecting back the room's own deep-seated inadequacies and anxieties. This is textbook psychological projection at its most raw and unfiltered, where their internal discomfort about themselves is simply being attributed to your mysterious calm. Next, prepare for the subtle, yet persistent tests of your boundaries, often accompanied by unconscious imitation from others. The loud, attention-seeking performers in the room view your entry as an immediate threat to their social dominance. These are the individuals who survive by monopolizing social settings through talking the loudest, through constant performance. Because your presence signals authority without you uttering a single word, it disrupts their monopoly on attention. Their immediate psychological defense mechanism is to run a quick status test. You will catch them making subtle passive-aggressive jabs masked as jokes, or perhaps cutting you off mid-sentence almost imperceptibly. They are desperately testing your psychological boundaries to see if you are truly solid or just putting on an act. If you react defensively, showing agitation or hurt, they win. They found a crack. But when you meet their gaze with flat indifference, a quiet, unbothered acknowledgement that their attempts are inconsequential, you entirely dissolve their social power. Simultaneously, the quiet observers, those who secretly yearn for your composure, will unconsciously begin to mirror your demeanor. This is a fascinating display of behavioral synchrony, a subconscious attempt to borrow a piece of your unbothered aura. They might mimic your relaxed posture, your calm hand gestures, or even the steady cadence of your breath, an unconscious attempt to align with your perceived stability. Then comes the most exhausting dynamic: weaponized forced inclusivity, or its inverse, aggressive performative ignorance. This isn't normal indifference. It is a hyper-calculated effort to completely ignore you. If you speak in a group setting, a specific person might intentionally stare at their phone, feigning intense interest in a notification that simply isn't there. If you walk past their table in the cafeteria, they will suddenly find something fascinating to look at on the opposite wall, or strike up an unnaturally loud conversation with someone nearby. This happens because your presence, your quiet power, forces them to confront their own social inadequacy, their own feelings of insignificance. Looking at you, acknowledging you, feels like a direct insult to their fragile ego. By aggressively ghosting your existence, they are desperately trying to convince themselves and everyone else that you hold absolutely no power over them. The profound irony, of course, is that their performative avoidance is the loudest, most undeniable form of validation they could possibly give you. Their desperate effort to ignore you makes your presence undeniable. Next, observe the phenomenon of conversations suddenly freezing up, or the micro-expression of subtle disapproval that sweeps across a room. This reaction often comes from the quiet observers who secretly respect your boundaries but lack the courage or self-awareness to implement them themselves. When you sit down, your stable, unbothered energy naturally anchors the space. Within 10 minutes, you'll notice specific individuals unconsciously replicating your physical state. If you lean back and cross your arms looking calmly across the table, someone else will mirror that exact stance within 60 seconds. This is an involuntary phenomenon called physiological synchrony, or behavioral tracking. In a room full of social noise and internal chaos, your detachment acts like a psychological baseline. Their minds are racing, trying to figure out how to appear composed and in control, so they naturally sync their physical frequency with yours to borrow a piece of your unbothered aura. But here's the twist. Some will react with subtle disapproval, a fleeting flicker of their eyes, a tightening of their lips. This is a quiet rebellion against your perceived unflappability, a subconscious attempt to emotionally distance themselves from the stark contrast between your calm and their internal turbulence. Nonverbal cues, remember, account for roughly 55% of all communication, and these small signals speak volumes. Fifth, watch for the telltale sign of the room, using your face as its ultimate emotional compass. In any environment, you will find social chameleons who constantly shift their opinions and allegiances depending on who holds the perceived power or social capital. When you are the benchmark person, you will notice an eerie dynamic. If someone else tells a story, starts an argument, or proposes an idea, these chameleons won't even look at the speaker. Instead, their eyes will immediately dart straight to your face to see how you are reacting. They are subconsciously checking if you approve, if you find it pathetic, or if you seem genuinely interested. Without asking for a single shred of leadership, you become the silent judge. Your almost imperceptible nod, your slight frown, or even your flat indifference carries more psychological weight than the vocal agreement or enthusiastic applause of the entire crowd. This is social referencing in action, where individuals look to perceived authorities for cues on how to behave, how to feel, and what to value in ambiguous situations. The sixth dimension is perhaps the most toxic. They secretly compete with you. These are the people who won't mock you, and they won't aggressively ignore you. Instead, they quietly enter a race you aren't even running. If you buy a specific smart car, they will buy a more expensive, flashier version next week. If you mention a significant project you've completed, they will suddenly announce a bigger, more ambitious plan they are supposedly undertaking. They treat your lifestyle, your achievements, your very existence like a personal insult to their own. They don't want to destroy you. They're desperately trying to outdo you, purely to prove to their own bleeding ego that they can match or exceed your level. This constant upward social comparison triggers a permanent, exhausting competition in their minds, where you are the benchmark they are killing themselves to beat, while you are literally just living your life entirely oblivious to their internal struggle. This can often escalate into narcissistic rivalry, where one's own sense of self-worth is constantly threatened by another's perceived success. Seventh, prepare for them to actively wait for your fumble. This dimension comes from those who feel completely outclassed by your perceived consistency and composure. They look at how smoothly you carry yourself, how you handle pressure, and realize they simply can't match your unbothered posture. Their immediate coping mechanism is to hunt for a glitch in your system, a crack in your armor. They are actively studying your hands to see if they shake when you pick up a drink, analyzing your voice to see if it cracks under pressure during a demanding conversation, or scrutinizing your stride for any sign of hesitation. The exact microsecond you show a flash of normal human hesitation, a moment of vulnerability, a wave of invisible relief washes over them. This phenomenon is known as schadenfreude, the pleasure derived from another person's misfortune. They desperately want you to fumble because your daily confidence, your serene command, is a constant, painful reminder of their own chaotic lack of self-control and deep-seated insecurities. They aren't looking for you to fail completely, just enough to bring you down to their level, to make their own internal struggles feel less exceptional. Finally, brace yourself for the insidious presence of those who constantly try to kill your vibe. This is a subtle, yet profoundly toxic phenomenon called emotional anchoring, a dark side of emotional contagion. You will notice that whenever you enter a space feeling sharp, looking great, or just genuinely in a good mood, a specific person will immediately make a passing comment designed to deflate your positive energy. They will drop a subtle complaint about the unpredictable weather, bring up a stressful work deadline from last week, or casually point out a minor negative detail in the room, perhaps a scuff on the floor or a flickering light. They aren't just being moody. It is a calculated psychological defense mechanism. Because your positive, unbothered presence makes them feel painfully aware of their own internal chaos and chronic negative affectivity, they simply cannot handle the stark contrast. Instead of attempting to raise their own energy to match yours, their survival instinct forces them to pull you down into their negative state, into their misery. They are desperately trying to kill your vibe just to make the room feel safe for their own internal struggle, to level the emotional playing field by bringing everyone down. Navigating a room, a workplace, or even a social gathering when your presence triggers this many conflicting, often aggressive psychological forces is mentally exhausting. It's a relentless drain on your energy and your peace of mind. But it is, in many ways, the unexpected price you pay for possessing raw gravity, for having an authentic, unshakable sense of self. Understanding these profound psychological undercurrents allows you to observe them without being consumed by them. It empowers you to stop shrinking yourself down so that average people feel more comfortable in their own skin. The true power lies not in changing yourself, but in mastering your perception of these reactions. Until next time, this is Bite Size Psychology.